make sure I got everybody here. I got myself, Rusty, Randy, Nick, Diane, Katie, and Dan. Did I miss anybody from the committee?
Yeah, I can tell him.
Yeah, Sean's on. Sean Brown's on.
Sean? Okay, Sean, thank you.
Hey, Duke's on.
I'll catch you.
Oh, the Duke's arrived. Okay, this is your third meeting this morning already.
It is. Third headed to a fourth.
Oh my God. Okay, let's make this meeting as productive and quick as possible. Everybody, I was a little bit late sending out the minutes. I hope you had a chance to look at them. Are there any corrections, changes, amendments to the minutes as presented of the February 11th meeting? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve these minutes? From Katie, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second
From
that.
Duke? All in favor indicate by just either raising your hand or saying aye.
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 All right, the first order of our business is to go back and revisit the progress we're making with getting an easement for Eversource. Randy, how you doing on that one?
Yeah, thanks, Skip. Here's my understanding, and that phone call I was just on was Eversource calling. So big picture, what we're trying to accomplish here is bringing the power to the site so that construction can switch over from temp power or from whatever means that they're using to create power. And we're trying to accomplish bringing at the very least the conduits for this power and doing all of the digging during spring break, which is in about a month. So what's going to happen is all the power is currently on the north side of Mansfield, and we're going to keep the existing power running to the school uninterrupted while we bring this secondary and kind of future power source and telephone and data to the new location. So we're going to put a new pole on the north side of Mansfield to the south of the driveway entrance. My understanding is that is being staked out today from a location perspective by Eversource, and they're working with Frontier, who I believe is the installer of that pole. And then the next thing that has to happen, and I spoke with George this morning, is that the site utility plan that Benesh produces has to be updated to show the planned location of the trench that's going to be dug across Mansfield and go all the way to an area right pretty much in front of where the current construction trailers are. So that drawing has to be updated so that Sean's Lawn knows where to dig, and Ferguson knows exactly what they're going to do in terms of putting in the conduits. So that's something that George is going to reach out to Benesh, copy Slam, and others to get updated, because that's needed to actually do the work and to get any type of amendments or proposals for any type of change orders there. And that drawing is also needed to then go to the DOT for the encroachment permit to actually cut Mansfield. So that hasn't been done yet, but that order of Benesh is going to go out today for George. My understanding is that all of that work I just described is kind of independent of what we're referring to as this easement process, which is equally important because the Eversource or Ferguson won't be able to actually run the cables through these conduits until the easement paperwork's been established, which means we won't get power to the site. The status of the easement is that it's currently sitting in the easement department at Eversource. And that was one of our contacts on the phone at Eversource, who basically sent the paperwork to the easement department and then said, hey, just check with your town lawyer to find out what's going on. I spoke with Jeremy yesterday. From P&Z's perspective, I haven't talked to Wayne Fox, but I'm assuming that the town or Wayne Fox have not received anything from Eversource yet. So they're just on standby waiting. So George is going to follow up with Eversource. I just asked this other person, Robert at Eversource, to follow up with the easement department. But what we're trying to do now is to get an actual plan from them, and there's some coordination with Rendis and Mead that they have to do to actually get this drawing into the hands of Wayne Fox at Town of Darien so that we can approve it. And if we approve it, then it just gets recorded and signed off on by Jamie and the P&Z, and then we're done. And then, so there's a lot going on there. Everyone, jump in, George, if you're on, if I've missed anything or misinterpreted anything. But the key things that we have to accomplish are Banesh has to update the drawing so that we can actually move forward with the actual construction work. And then secondly, finalizing the easement via Eversource and the town attorney.
I would only add, Randy, that probably the documents will first go to Jeremy Ginsburg, who will then forward them over to Wayne. I don't know, maybe that's not quite right, but I know he'll be involved in the process.
Yeah, Jeremy let me know he's going to be out of town next week. So we're kind of running out of time this week, but he made it sound like if we get them what they need the week thereafter, it should be pretty straightforward.
Good, okay. And from your side, Amy, you think Banesh can take care of all of this in time?
I do. Will has indicated that he was prepared to do that a couple of weeks ago. I can just check in with him to make sure that he still has staff available to do it right away.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I'll send that out to everybody today. It's basically just revising where the communication and data and all that, it'll be coming off the same pole across the street as the primary electrical. And that would be just the one revision made on that draft. So I'll shoot that off to Banesh today. Copy everybody.
Thanks, George.
And Randy, when you said a new pole, you meant a new pole on the, I want to say the east side of Mansfield Avenue.
Yeah.
It's going to be put, okay, because you said north, and I just want to make sure we had it right.
No, that's,
okay.
Misspoke.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? All right. Payment application number 2. I sent out yesterday just the first 5 pages of application number 2 because it's 180 pages long, I believe 135 pages long. And all you really need to do is, as we said, every month we'll be seeing the first 5 pages, which summarizes everything. So, David?
George, you want to review this application?
Sure. It's basically just a few trades. We have GDS, which is our drywall. That's basically just for the submittals and those kind of things, just general conditions. Same with the fire protection. He's building.
Sorry to interrupt. Would it be possible to share the screen and show the document?
Sure.
Sure. George, do you want me to make you presenter, or?
Yeah, if you want. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Can everyone see that?
George, we see your Outlook screen.
Oh.
If you've got Bluebeam open or AConnect open separately, we don't see that screen.
Maybe this one.
Yep.
How's that?
Now we see it.
Okay. Okay, so for this month, we got currently billing, Capasso for the concrete work, which is, mostly footings and walls, and also their bonds and some Schenectady Steel. It's they have materials stored off site. They're currently have purchased materials and are fabricating. Part C rather has been fabricated, and then continuing fabricating, and then just billing for materials pretty much stored off site. And as I was saying earlier, you got the gypsum board and actually the, fire protection. And those are just, bonds, insurances, and submittals. Same with, plumbing and HVAC and electrical. That's for their bonds, insurances. And then also, a big part of this is their coordination process, where they've been doing the modeling, that's been actually going very well with the 3D modeling, and a lot of this information on the 3D modeling with Ferguson Mechanical, they do a lot of they'll take those files that they coordinate on the computer with the model, and then they use that for their fabrication. They do a lot of the fabrication of the ductwork and those things with CNC machines and fabricating ductwork. So that's a big part of their billing this month.
George, the question was that what we called originally the BIM system?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Was that very complex where they modeled everything around all of the steel and everything else to make sure that all the ductwork worked, all the ductwork and the piping and everything else was going to work and fit in. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And then they use those files, those computer files, and they have the, CNC machines where they actually, fabricate the ductwork with all of that.
Okay.
So quite a process actually. And then Sean's Lawn, site work, which they're, installing storm sewers, piping, and some basins and prepping for footings and, removing soil off site. So that's what's, billed for this month. And then, just our general conditions and fee.
Okay. Anybody have any questions concerning the application for payment?
I do. Are any lien waivers included in this for prior applications or?
Yeah. Yes. George, you want me to explain the software that we use for this?
Yep, sure.
Sure. So, Nick, we use a software called Textura. It's an Oracle product.
Yep.
And it's all electronic. So, what happens is the trades sign their lien waiver when they submit their application for payment. Textura holds it, and at the time that we disperse payments, so all the payments that we make to the trades are all done via ACH. And at the time that we release the payments, Textura releases the lien waivers to us. So we have lien waivers for everyone. It's a condition of payment, and no money leaves the door without having it signed.
Got it.
This is really a critical thing. I hope everybody understands that. Maybe you want to explain it, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it makes sure, it ensures that the subs are getting paid and they're paying their subs and vendors, and prevents them from putting any type of lien on the property.
Which you can't lien a public school project anyways, which is good news.
And unfortunately, the town ran into this problem when they did the Mather Center at the high school, at the town hall. They didn't get the lien waivers. Okay, thank you. So
Yep.
they're
And then
automatically done.
regarding certified payroll, that's being submitted directly to the town.
Say that again, Nick.
Certified payroll, that's being submitted directly.
Correct. That's submitted directly to the town, and also we have copies.
So you're obviously cross-checking that based on the applications that come in.
Correct. That's another condition of releasing the payment that we have all the certified payrolls and they're all current.
Great.
There's also another layer of protection that all the subs have a performance and payment bond too, right, Dave?
That's correct, Andy. Yep.
One other quick thing. Notice we've got a regular retainage there, but Dave, as you know, we handled the CHRO stuff this week, and we're supposed to have an additional 2% retainage until your affirmative action plan is approved. So this
Right, and
actually
with-
should go back, this should actually go back to the first application as well as this one.
Right. Well, and Rusty, and I am working on the answer as far as the individual trade contractors go. We have that covered, as George shows on the screen, the sheet that's on the screen for Capasso. See, their current retainage is 7%. So it's 5% by contract and by statute, but it's
Okay.
7% because of their CHRO affirmative action plan not yet being approved.
Yep.
So, and I believe, I don't think we've received approval on any, so I believe that every application that's included here will have the 7%. So when you look at the aggregate on ours, I think it's at 6.9% completed. So I think the only thing that we're trying to, that I need to confirm for you is the actual ONG build items.
Right.
The
Right.
retainage on that without double holding the retainage on the trade contractors. So
Right.
we're very close to being at the correct amount, and we'll adjust that. And like I said, I owe you that answer on confirming that 2% on the that plan.
Okay. And again, it probably should apply to the first application also.
Yeah. So what'll happen is correct. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Being none, can I have a motion to approve this payment application?
Motion to approve, Duke.
Duke? And second by Diane?
Whoever.
Okay. Is there anything else to be discussed on this matter? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
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 Are there any nays? Are there any abstentions? Thank you. The motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda is a project report. I sent out the full project report that George put together, which is 32 pages long, which includes pictures and everything else. Now, what we intend to do for the committee is to send out a 2, maybe 3-page summary each month of the progress report. The entire progress report will be available for your reading on the Aconex system, just like we had on the SLAM system. They had everything on there to see all the drawings. So, but this is the first one being published. So I thought what we do is I'd send out the entire 32-page document, and then George can maybe take us through some of the highlights of what we should be looking at going forward. So if I may, George, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, sure. As Kip was saying, this is our, the first report. So we, we put it together each month, and then, the first is the table of contents, and then we show the staff. We have myself and the project superintendent, Brian Kelly, who's our engineer, contract administrator, Danielle, working in our office. Our safety engineer, he'll be on site, minimum once a week doing our, safety inspection reports, and he does publish them, and you'd be able to find those on Aconex as well, or if any of you want to see any copies of his reports, I'd be happy to send them to you. And then Jim Hendrickson, he's our full-time on-site MEP coordinator. Dave, the executive, and then Joe Orlando. This is kind of like an overview of, the total budget. Obviously, being our last report, we don't really have anything from the previous report, but it's just kind of a comparison or update from, our previous report to current. So as you can see, currently we're still, maintaining our substantial completion dates. We project our, percent complete, with our academic wing our being 15%, site work, landscaping approximately 10%. And then we go through with, our budget, with our baseline budget. And then we have, our potential revisions, and I can get more into that in the report. And And then we have what we have approved revisions, which is basically, which is change orders, approved change orders. This particular one is for the, credit we got substituting the HDPE piping, the plastic piping versus the, reinforced concrete piping. So that was our first change order that has been approved. And then the potentials are, what we project, and that is most our, with the topsoil issue. And then we go with our current budget. Currently, we have all our contracts awarded to date. And then, we show potential changes, approved contract changes, and actually this is a little bit more than what this includes is the alternate. We picked up some alternates for the site work. So when we issued and executed the site, Sean's launch contract, we didn't include the alternates. And then, since the committee, approved those alternates, so we had to show that as a change order on the report. And then we have our projected costs, and then what we call the funds available, our contingency, and then also, allowances we have for the CMR. So that's just kind of like an overview. So for the total funds, and this is construction, this does not include, soft costs, like the owner's contingency or anything like that. This is just the, the construction funds available. And then this is kind of, this is kind of an overview of, a worksheet of everything. So, you can kind of see the approved budget revisions, which is the change order. These are our potential or our projected change orders. So if we get a PR, a proposal request, or an RFI that might have a potential impact on the budget, I'll plug that into this, cost report, and then we try to track our potential change orders and then obviously our the approved. So right now, so like when you go from like the current budget to the left, this is what our budget, we call it upstream, but this is what our budget is with the owner. And then to the right is the committed costs or the the contractor's cost. So we call it downstream. And then the difference is what we have available. So that's kind of a line right there. So this would be our budget. This is the projected costs, if you will, and then our funds available is the difference between the two. And then that's just, we track everything what you would see on you see on our pay application on the schedule of values. These items kind of coincide with that, and that we're tracking just about every item on that report. And then this is just a more detailed version. So as Skip was saying, probably the next meeting, this will kind of, all this 7 or 8 pages will be culled down to like maybe 2 or 3 for the committee to review. And then that's contingency and allowances. If we have to use our contingency or allowances for anything we're approved, you'll see that in this page. And then I do give, some potential cost impacts. Currently, we kind of track those, and right now the removal of existing soil off-site. With the weather we're having and the conditions of the soil, and then not being able to secure the storage area, that's impacted the schedule. Right now, we're kind of working through it with the with the good weather we've been having these last few days, that's improved quite a bit. So, prior to this week, Sean's was only getting about maybe 400 or 500 yards of soil removed off site each day. We've met him quite a few times to see if we could improve on that. And then probably the last 2 or 3 days with the improved weather, whatever, he's increased that production to about 1,000, maybe even more, maybe 1,100 yards a day. So, that has improved. And what this, how it impacts the schedule is, this pile is kind of where footings for area B are. So it's kind of slowed down the area B or part B footings. So we're just kind of, meeting with Sean and trying to improve that. And then we also list the RF, we have some PRs issued. These are actually all the PRs issued to date, ASIs and RFIs. So, and then, like I said, when we do get proposal requests, if there's a cost impact, then we track that through the report. And then just the project summary. With the site work, we've completed the erosion control measures, installation temporary fence, started storm sewer piping and structures, stripping topsoil, mass excavations, hauling existing soil off-site. And then academic wing, we started excavations and forming, or part C. We started excavating, forming, placement, footings and walls. Structural steel has been fabricated. And then in the part B of academic wing, we started excavations. We've done forming and placement of some footings, but as I was mentioning earlier, that soil pile has kind of hindered progress a little bit. But like I said, this week, and with the weather continuing the way it is, that's improved quite a bit. And then current status for each bid package. These are the bid packages. We had our abatement guy. He just had, I don't know, maybe about 20 or 30 feet of some ACM containing piping was running through what is the temporary basin. So he removed that. That was back in like early January. Sean's lawn, they've been protecting trees, installed erosion controls, installed temporary fence. And then, as I was mentioning, started installation of the stormwater, stripping topsoil, started their mass excavations, excavations for footings, part C and B, hauled soil off site. Landscaping, there's no real activity. The concrete, Capasso, they started forming and placing concrete footings, walls in part C, and then also in part B as well. And then the steel, as I was saying, they're modeling and coordination submittals, and they started fabricating. And then for the most part, the rest of the trades have been going through the submittal process, and then the MEP guys, they've been doing their BIM modeling and all that coordination. So and then actually next week Ferguson is scheduled to start mobilizing, and hoping schedule in the next week or so, maybe starting some underground work on Area C. That's pretty much it. And then we do include the overall schedule. And then some pictures as well. And yeah, that's the forming and the footings and walls. Fence, and then that's the sediment pond. if there's any questions or anything in the committee.
Yeah, this is Diane. If it's not too much trouble, we don't necessarily need to review it in the meetings, but it'd be nice to get the full report on a monthly basis, just for, I guess it would make it just a little easier than us going into Acoustic to find it. It seems like a lot of valuable material that we all could peruse. And again, maybe you present a summary in the presentation. If it's not too much trouble, that would be really helpful.
No, I can, we can email it. As Dave was saying, it'd be an Acoustic, but emailing the full report's not that much.
Just
Come
one
on,
question.
Diane, you can go into AKX, Diane, you can do it, I know it. I know you can do it.
I'll give it a try.
No, but
I'm really excited to see 15% completion on the first wing. It's really awesome to see the numbers start to tick up. So keep up
I
the
have a
good work.
question, George, about this particular project report. That's not going to grow to be a long document like the pay application, is it?
No, it'll probably be down. I mean, the only pages that will probably will increase is tracking the change orders, and all that. So it might be another 3 or 4 pages, but no, it's not going to grow into a 100-page document.
Okay, so that in that case, I think the Diane's request is eminently doable. We'll make sure we do that. Okay, I think that makes sense. Okay.
I have a question regarding the schedule. On the summary page for the academic wing, substantial completion, it noted February of 22, but I think the schedule shows April of 22, so I just want to clarify that.
We'll have to look at that, Nick, confirm that. That we should be pulling that date right off the milestone, so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can look at that, Nick.
Because it is currently April, right? That we're tracking to?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Then,
Yeah, April 14th, not February 14th.
Yep. Yeah, that was a mistake.
okay. And then regarding the soils, is there any order of magnitude quantifiable impact to that, or?
As far as removing off-site?
Yeah.
Yeah, currently it's been about a week or so, week and a half impact. The delay, that was as of the end of last week. So with the improved weather, this week and in many meetings with Sean from Sean's Lawn, we think we can recover from that. We have asked for kind of like a recovery schedule and all of that, but currently it's about like a week and a half on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else?
David, this serves the purpose for me to extract what I need for the monthly, what I need on a monthly basis from our last, I don't know what the meeting was, what the official name of that meeting was when we were checking in with us and what we would need that I can extract from this. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, George. Next item of business is a final decision by the district with regard to certain design elements that we've been talking about for the last month or couple months, I guess. I'm going to turn this over to Duke.
Thanks, Kip. So in many conversations, a lot of conversations and look, a lot of work and a lot of good ideas and concepts. I think what we have to do is think big picture across the district. And while it's not feasible to be equitable amongst all these schools, we are marching towards another facilities project. Anyone that wants to volunteer, please raise their hand. That will encompass an additional 3 elementary schools. And, we did a look back and I've spent some time over the years at Tokenique too. So I think we have to think about simplicity in some ways. And we've got an incredible building that we've designed, an incredible courtyard, and the outdoor space in the back and the playground will add a lot of value. But I do think we have to look at what we're doing in terms of the upcoming renovations to the 3 elementary schools, kind of a look and feel at Tokenique. And I think we have to go toward more of a simple and an equitable style. So I think in conversations, you know, our recommendation is to move away from the fritted glass, to move away from the ballasts or the ballasts and the lighting. There's some issues there with just ceilings and fire suppression and that type of stuff, and keep it simple and clean. And also move away from the serpentine ceiling in the cafeteria and keep that simple and clean also. I think if there are dollars to be spent on educational stuff, that makes a lot of sense, but that's kind of where we've landed to, you know, look across, take a holistic approach across the district, but keep it simple. We've got a beautiful building, and I think a little simple is best with respect to that.
Okay. So the recommendation is then we're going to basically take out fritted glass, not pursue the baffles in the learning commons, and to change the ceiling in the cafeteria back to a regular ceiling rather than a serpentine ceiling.
Correct.
Katie.
Katie.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask about the ceiling in the cafeteria. I completely understand the first 2 recommendations, Duke. I know that there was a lot of just kind of conflict anyway about whether or not those were even a good idea. I did want to ask about the serpentine ceiling though. Is that going to be now a completely flat white, like paneled ceiling, or is it going, instead of being sort of the wave and the serpentine, it's going to be geometric? Just curious about what the final product would be there.
Yeah, and this is Diane. Sorry, Amy. Just to add to that too is a question of a bit of a concern, since that was designed into the project out as is right now, what the complication would be in removing it at this point and simplifying the ceiling.
I think, Amy, I'm not sure. I think it's probably just a plain white drop ceiling. I know there's some design elements built into the walls over there. It's a light, bright space with the window in the back, but I'm assuming it would just go back to kind of a standard ceiling that we have throughout the rest of the building.
So this is the first I'm hearing of this request. So I guess I'll need a bit of time to just develop that, but it will be a design change. So that's a new design directive. It will require all new look at the lighting as well, because the lights currently are linear but built into the curved ceiling, and the sprinkler heads, everything will have to be redesigned. So it will be a bit, you know, we'll look at it. I can't make a recommendation at this point. You have a super high ceiling there. I think if you're not planning on doing any kind of design impact as far as the type of ceiling goes, that you might consider pendant light fixtures. I mean, this is a very tall space for very small children. So without that serpentine ceiling, I really would recommend that you don't just go with flat, also recessed lighting. So just something to consider. I don't know where this request, you know, is coming from, because it has been in the design all along. It wasn't one of the alternates. So we'll just have to look at it with all of our engineers and everybody and redo that space. If that's directive.
I think we've had a lot of conversation, and I don't know, I'm happy to be corrected as we go through the process. I've thought of all the design conversations, and I know we simplified the ceiling in the hallway there. I'm not sure we ever came to a full agreement on the serpentine ceiling or the look and feel. I know it was proposed, so
It was proposed and it was one of the value engineering items considered. It was always in the base bid. At the end of DD, it was looked at as a possible savings to go with a flat ceiling. But all through, that was then disregarded as one of the value engineering items. So we left it in the base bid all through CDs and all. So we never actually did a design for that space with a flat ceiling.
Katie, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. I had a follow-up question. Amy, I just wanted to confirm, my understanding was that the ceiling in the cafeteria was not just a design element, but was also functional. I know you had spoken about the height of the ceiling, but also, just Luke, definitely chime in here, but like the cafeteria at Oxbridge can just get so loud that even when you have a very controlled audience of even just like parents for a speaker presentation, it can be very difficult. So I would be nervous about removing any sort of functional acoustic just aids really that would help the building, that would help that space just be more usable.
So no matter what ceiling we provide for you, it will have acoustic properties. I mean, the flat acoustic panel ceiling has acoustic properties. The serpentine ceiling has acoustic properties. And, in design phases, we had the assessment done with our acoustic consultant using the design that's currently in the project. We will now moving forward need to reassess, but I'm certain that we would never provide you with a space that's not usable. So we'll make sure to, whichever ceiling is the directive, obviously it will be designed appropriately.
Amy, my memory says that during the discussion on the Serpentine ceiling early on, Dean made the comment that he could do something really nice with a flat ceiling. So that at least he was thinking of some
yeah,
type of
just take
directive.
design time. Whatever directive you give us, it's a new directive, so we'll just go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, hi, this is Diane. I mean, I kind of support what Amy had said there, that in terms of the process, I think there was a point at which we did, my recollection was that we did move to proceed with the serpentine ceiling in the cafeteria, but gave consideration as to whether or not we would do it in the hallway. That was always my understanding. And
we have it recorded. We can check. We can double check.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that we would have. We recorded the value engineering meetings just because they were a part of the building committee decisions. So I'm sure that they're on your website somewhere.
But I guess it's just important with regard to the fact that we proceeded with this as in pricing and design, not as an alternate, but as a way to proceed. And it's going to be a bit of work to pull it out and redesign, or Amy needs to figure that out and determine how that's going to impact our the budget and her work to make those changes. This is a project for the Board of Ed, and I understand the need to coordinate school to school, but each school will have certain special features that are slightly different than one another. Maybe every school doesn't end up with a courtyard. Maybe other school has some sort of magnificent entryway. The middle school has a rotunda. Of course, that's the middle school, not elementary school, but each school is going to have some features that are somewhat different. I understand equity from one to another. It seemed to me that this was kind of a special piece in this otherwise very empty, kind of boring room. So I think unless there's a very strong argument economically or for equity, I would argue we should try and keep it.
Let me make very clear. The decision originally was to have the serpentine ceiling in the design. There's no question about that. So we don't have to go back and pull out files and recordings. That was the decision. The decision has now been made different by virtue of the district looking at their different schools are about to do and talking about equity. It is strictly a decision about equity. It's not about design. The cost savings will be minimal because of the redesign. We're not going to be talking about making a lot of savings in dollars. We're talking about something that the district has looked at and thought these were elements they would like to have no longer in the design. It's a change of focus, and that's all it is. Let's not get don't worry about history. History is exactly as Diane mentioned. It was all there. Okay.
Katie?
Thank you. I did just want to ask what we might be looking at in terms of timing and cost to go back and to make this change, how that might affect the project.
From a timing point of view, the building, the assembly wing is of course not going to even be started for another year, so it's not going to affect the timing. It will affect. You will not get savings out of this most likely, or they'll be very minimal because there's design changes and in the process, which are going to be there and probably mitigate any kind of savings. Okay.
And Kip, this is Dave. If I could just opine on that, did ask our team to just look at where are we with respect to the coordination efforts. I know that they actually have moved into Area D with the coordination efforts. So, we'll just have to flag that and see what does come about when the ceiling changes. The other part of that is, Amy mentioned something about light fixtures. So I did alert the team just while we were talking here that to be mindful when the light fixture submittal comes through, if it has not already, to flag those.
It has already come through.
What's that?
That submittal has already come through, yes.
For the light fixtures?
Yes.
Okay, so that's something that I would say we would want to address that right away, because again, the thing with light fixtures is they're typically procured in packages, and when we start to deviate and break up the packages is when we see some unreasonable pricing from the representatives when you start breaking up those packages and changing one-off things in it. So I would say one of the most critical things to do then would be to address what we're doing with lighting in the revision of the ceiling.
Look, Alan and Luke, if you want to chime in here, I don't.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, keeping some of the discussions we had about fritted glass and the baffles and so on and so forth, keeping some of it with consistency. I'll just be honest, I could see, depending on how much expense otherwise, right? I think there's room probably, I was thinking of keeping it simple, but in this case, if there's room to discuss, you think that, look, it's not going to save any money. That's not the purpose of the discussion or recommendation. But if you think that it's such that it adds so much, it's there at the moment, it's the one added feature, I personally can live with it in that scenario. I hear both sides of the argument, and you might say that, like, are you waffling too? No, but I'm just listening to people, right? And the equity thing, there are certain things about there's equity is not going to be. There's not going to be complete equity across all of these buildings. Keeping some of it simplistic with fritted glass and so on and so forth, I think taking those things out I think it's appropriate, to be honest with you, and in the commentary. But if this one is as Amy's describing it, and as we understand it to be value added, it's going to be just as much to change it out again. I am not used to those in cafeterias. I'll be honest in that regard. Okay, I'm not. And I can live without it. I mean, that's my honest opinion. But this is a group decision in the sense of I don't think I would live and die on the sword of the equity because I think taking the other things out has accomplished that. To be honest with you, if it's one added feature, I'm happy to defer to the group in that capacity. I can live either way, given what I'm hearing from people.
And just, for the input, I agree with you, Katie, that my biggest concern, honestly, in the cafeteria is one is beautifully designed and clean and accessible for kids, and from a noise reduction standpoint, or the acoustic treatment, as you all say. So, Amy, I would appreciate it if the team, I know it's like the timing is tight because, it's just getting discussed today, but I think if the team could review the options for that ceiling that, move in line with what the district's requesting, that still achieve the the acoustic treatment that we need, I don't see an issue with it.
Do I hear a change of point of view with regard from the people from the district and the Board of Ed? If that's the case, we can leave the serpentine ceiling in.
Yeah, good conversation. I think all points are valid. I think if it's going to create as much work and challenge as the conversation has led, and if Luke and Alan are on board with it, it's the one specific room. Let's just move forward. I just think we need to put all this stuff to bed today. So,
Okay.
Fine with leaving it in.
I'm okay with that.
Fine by me.
Any other comments?
I just want to make another comment about the fritted glass and the baffled acoustic treatment. I think with all our discussion back and forth, I think those are good decisions. I think there was, especially the fritted glass, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about the permanence of it and what it would actually look like in the end. And again, the appropriateness in setting this up in this school and then feeling the need to carry it through in other schools. And likewise with the baffled ceiling, and it's not something we really reviewed early on in the project where it kind of became important and integral to this design. So I'd be very comfortable with that. I do want to call attention to the fact there are baffled panels designed into the library. Again, a special, different type of space in the building, but I didn't want that to be a surprise to everybody later that, oh, we do have this system in some place in the school. So, and that was part of the bid project and part of what's designed and built into this. But so I just wanted to call attention to that for everybody.
And Diane,
Diane.
It's a good point. Diane, thank you. As we go through the library redesign process, which is a big part of the other 3 elementary schools, some of what is in Oxbridge has been used as a reference to that. So, but you're spot on your comment there. So, but that's a known throughout what we're doing with the other facilities.
Okay, great.
Accordingly, I'm going to make a motion that the design elements of fritted glass, which would be omitted from the project. That would be a change order, by the way, because it's already in our project. And that the baffles in the learning commons not be pursued as a design element, but that and we don't have to mention this, but I just as a side, that the serpentine ceiling in the cafeteria will remain in the project as is. So the motion is really to eliminate 2 design elements, fritted glass, and if you will, not pursue baffles in the learning common. And that's what I would propose as a motion.
So moved, Dan.
Yep.
Dan seconds. Is there any more discussion?
Kip, I would just note the change order would be a deduct credit change order for that work.
The fritted glass, yes, yeah. The fritted glass would be a deduct. We probably have to pay something for the design, the shop drawings that the glass manufacturer has probably already started, but that's about it. Sure. Yes.
Right, that should be a savings.
Any other anything else to discuss? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion's carried. We've got that resolved. Thank you. Under other matters, I want to tell everybody that all the hard hats, safety vests, and safety glasses are all available. If you would email me, if you want me to pick them up and deliver them to you, please let me know after this meeting. Otherwise, you're free to go over to the trailer and get your protective gear on your own.
And Kip, with that, I want to show everyone, it's pretty cool. Our guy at the office made these up. So on the front, it's got the Oxbridge logo on it. In the back, it's got the joint venture. Whoops, sorry, I'm doing it reverse logo. So everyone's kind of got their own. Put your name on it, but again, they're for everyone to, all the committee members and ex officio members. They're for everyone to take one and keep it with them. Like I said, that way, when you come to the site, aside from this first time, you'll have the personal protective equipment on at the point that you actually enter into the gate, instead of having to come to the trailer without it on and then put it on. So And we don't need them back at the end of the project. You can keep them.
Katie?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if we needed to schedule a time to pick them up. I know it's an active construction site. I don't want to just be in the way, popping over randomly. So Dave, any advice? Would you rather one of us pick them up and distribute them?
Again, I think, no, I don't, it doesn't really matter. Just, you can't come in between 8:30 and 9:30 though. Just remember that. No, Luke, I thought we get sort of rise out of you
Unless
first.
you're a parent dropping off, hint, hint.
I think generally there are people in the office here every day now, so I don't.
Another easy option if you do want to keep it safe, because you do have to traverse some of the construction site to get to that trailer. If you want to label, you to give community members, here's the hat, here's the glasses, and put a little bag that label it. You can give it to me in the main office, and then we have a nice system of getting stuff to and from families. So if you want, I'm happy to be the conduit. Just give me the stuff, put the names on it, and then when people come up, you can just call the school and we'll bring it out to you. That's easy too.
That sounds even better.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it that way. That's great. Saves me driving all around town. Okay.
Uber.
Just for my minutes, guys, I'm sorry, I forgot who seconded the motion about the Fritted glass baffles. No one remembers? Maybe.
I'm happy to if you give a name.
Is it Katie? Oh, or Diane?
I didn't originally, but you could put my name down.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further business before the committee? Is there any public? I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that the Board of Ed is looking at the entire school district with regard to installing solar and including Oxridge in that study. So though, again, it's not part of the work we're doing. I think we should feel good that the district is looking at this. And I don't know if Alan or Duke want to mention it all. I think there's more to come on that, but I'm just happy to see that the district is very serious about moving forward with solar for this project as well as all the other district properties.
Yeah, thanks, Diane. We literally just kicked it off this morning with facilities committee meeting at 8:30 and a presentation. So the process has started. It didn't necessarily align when the town did their solar work based on some facilities and roofing projects we had, and Mike Lynch did a great job of looking and trying to coordinate with the town, but it didn't work. But now we're poised with the renovations we're looking at the other schools with Oxridge, and so we've started that process. So thanks for bringing up that point.
Okay.
One other just very quick update as it relates to a community effort that Katie was talking about last month. We're just about done with a beautiful banner. Thank you to my 5th grade students, and for Katie for the service project work we'll do with the 5th graders, and to our art teacher, Ms. Sonia Almonte, and to Jacqueline Stamus, who's the department chair at the high school. She's been integral in helping me think about how to do this and organize it. And so I've got a proof in her term. I have a proof that I'm looking at. It looks beautiful. We're going to get it to the print shop that I use and do a big 4x6 banner. So I know that Katie's organizing, some event that we can get out there with the kids, and I think Duke might be good enough to join us and do some photo op to celebrate. So stay tuned. Just about done on that front, but I wanted to let you all know now because I'd rather you hear it from me first before you see something in the paper in the coming days. Excited to see that near its completion.
I think we got some pretty interesting comments about the camera as well. Now it's on the town website. Great.
It's awesome.
There being any other business? I'm hearing none, and there's no public comment today. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I got Katie first and then Duke second. Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here. Our next meeting is in April. I wish I had the schedule in front of me. I think it's I believe it's the 15th of April.
That's the third Thursday is the 15th, Kip.
Yeah, but I believe it's the third Thursday because the 1st of April is on a Thursday, and I don't believe we're going to have your OAG meeting on that day. Probably not. Anyway, I'll get back to you all.
Why not?
Thank
We
you.
can play jokes on it.
Thank you all very much.
Good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.